And hello there everybody, and welcome to a new series. This is the Shadow Scythe playing Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth. As you can see, it's modded. I've got max sponsors, immersive armies, siege range plus, artifact helper, faster movement to speed up the game in general, awesome affinity, awesome loadout, small resource boat icons, and enhanced production. So yeah, we're going to start a new game. As for the faction I will be playing, I'm going to go with Al-Falah. Not for any kind of subversive reason, but you'll soon find out that I have a strategy for these guys in-game, and it is amazing. Yield from city developments is increased by 150%. You will not believe how amazing that can become when you're in-game. Next we choose our colonists. Now then, what I'm going to go with is collectors. You start with 3 random old Earth artifacts. Now we've got all of this in here, blah blah blah, yada yada yada, but what I'm going to go with is supply module, planetary survey, and then when it comes to the world, boop boop. Oh, we've got our extra sponsors down here, the various remains of corporate bodies and multinational organisations after the Great Mistake. So we have all 12 of the main factions in game. We're going to be playing on a standard size archipelago with 12 players instead of 8. It's going to be a random planet biome, normal difficulty level, quick pace. The world is quite young. It's going to be hot, arid, sea levels will be medium, and resources will be sparse. All the victory types are enabled. Hopefully it will be all coastal starts, and frenzied aliens, just to mix things up a bit. Now then, a lot of you might be wondering why the hell I've suddenly decided to pick this series, and the answer is actually quite simple. Due to problems with the Dolphin emulator, I can no longer continue Skies of Arcadia Legends. I like to keep going with that because it's a game I thoroughly enjoyed from my teenage years, but for now it's not really going anywhere, and I also can't play it, save it, or continue another game, and I'm not going to sit there playing through the entire game for several hours at a time just to get to a point where I can record again and then stop, and then record again and then stop, and it just becomes a hassle. So until I can find a point where I can get the save game to work, we're going to play a little bit of Beyond Earth. Civ 5 I could do, but I played it too often in years past. Beyond Earth is something a bit different before the release of Civ 6, which I'm hoping to Christ I'll be able to play on my newly enhanced toaster. So we must be looking at a frigid biome, and we've got Masmia, algae, eggs, we've got some plains, hills, grassland. There is a hill here though that has water access on 2 sides, so for the sheer utility of it, this is where I'm going to land. The Al-Falah City of Ard. Now all of a sudden it will crop up and tell me all about my artifacts, but I'm going to pick my research, choose my production. Now to start with, I'm actually going to go with agricultural development because that 150% bonus means I can pump more production into food or culture or science or energy than anyone else in the game. I have a distinct advantage in terms. Oh shit! Right, we've got 2 resource pods and a crash satellite. We've got a worker for now. I'm going to stick him on automated. And we've got another resource pod over there. And the City of Ard can attack a Xeno threat, Hydrocoral. Now, one of the reasons why I also picked this, not just because I wanted to try something new and I wanted to expand a little, is because I genuinely feel like this game needs a bit more love. 15 research, 60 energy, plus 10 science. When it was released, it fell really short of the promises that were made during development. We were basically promised Alpha Centauri 2. Now, for any of you guys out there who remember Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, it was one hell of a sci-fi game that did have an incredible setting and atmosphere, and the whole thing was just really well built for the time. That's what we were expecting to be released, and a lot of core features that were promised weren't implemented. The factions basically felt more or less on the soulless side, and the whole thing was just a letdown. It was a universal letdown. A few months later, Beyond Earth Rising Tide was released. Hang on, am I in a snow biome? Frozen biome or a fungal biome? Not 100% sure. But Rising Tide managed to add in new features such as seaborne resources, sea cities, new units, new affinities. Yep, floating alien structure. It is a frozen biome. You know, it had 2 new types of biome as well, which were frozen and primordial. And the whole thing was just really cool, but it still had the stigma of being Beyond Earth attached to it. Basically Civ 5 with a new skin. And at first I was as pissed off as anybody else. Especially when I'd been looking forward to it as much as everybody else had been looking forward to it. But over time, I did eventually grow to come to like the game for its own merits. And with Civ 6 on the way, I think it deserves a bit of a recap. So we have the story of mankind in space. We've been on this planet for a little over 6 weeks. News from the capital. Activists calling themselves a private militia made a citizen's arrest. The criminal in question, a professional biologist by the name of Pierre Petrillo. To the activists, a rogue researcher tampering with dangerous foreign substance. His story? A simple scientist experimenting with masmira in the privacy of his own residence. Petrillo claims he was learning more about the substance in an attempt to negate its harmful effects to colonists in the field. The militia's stated goal, however, is to prevent activity which could endanger citizens in the new colony. They claim the scientist was using his own body for experimentation. The group has destroyed all volatile materials as part of their arrest and brought the scientist to the doors of a local prison. I'm going to say we apprehend him. And I didn't read the next part. Yep, apprehended. Blah blah blah, yada yada yada. And basically, yeah, this is the story of mankind on a new world. Many, many years in the future. And one of the things it really could have done when the game was being released was put more of an emphasis onto the background. The quotes, all the bits and pieces, all of the lore is here, but not readily available. We basically just get a few quotes here, a few quotes there. Fungal, frigid, forests, sponsors, leaders. None of this is apparent when you start the game, and none of it becomes apparent over time. And it could have been a lot better done. Ooh, right, wreckage from the crashed satellite of some kind, capsule information, preliminary research into robotics, and we have our first affinity level. I'm going to go with purity for now. because that gives us a 10% chance to find more artifacts. And that's the question you should be asking, is why oh why did Scythe start with so many artifacts? We'll go with upgrades for melee capability for those boats. And the reason why I started with so many artifacts is because they offer bonuses. And these bonuses can come in the form of production, energy, science, culture. They also offer new wonders and new forms of technology and new buildings. And the whole thing is, I will go and say, vitally important to my ongoing strategy, because one of the things I want to lay my hands on during the course of this game is the drone command, which will allow my cities to work 2 more tiles. Oh, someone's discovered the hydrocoral brain. Hydrocoral overmind. Now these things will be splattered around the world, much like artifacts are in Galsif 3. Oh, I found a volumetric component printer. And basically they will offer bonuses to different types of tech, different types of building, different types of units. They will speed up certain things. It offers your faction a chance to evolve beyond just merely a skin. Because a lot of the units behave almost entirely the same regardless of which path you take on the affinity tree. Oh, right, we've developed a culture. So for Al Falah, we want 10% towards buildings. Now, why would you want 10% towards buildings, you ask? You know, considering you're going on about improvements and structures and all kinds of other stuff. It's because once I've got enough of these, I can really start pumping out a lot of shit. And I mean a lot of shit. You know, I'm already at 362 credits on turn 13. If I can play this right, I can outbuild, outproduce and outstrip every other person in the game. It's that good old adage of technological arrogance coming out all over again. So what I'm going to do with my early game credits is purchase as many of my closest land tiles, oh no, reset, as possible. There we go. Because then I can start not only improving, but also getting vision out across my local continent. The more vision I have, the better I can avoid certain in-game threats, such as siege worms and manticores and all kinds of other wonderful shit that's hiding out here on the frozen biomes of whatever this world is. Actually, what is this world called? It's one of the things it never introduces is an actual name to the planet beyond the few that are named presets in the game. I don't think this planet actually has a name. Oh well. Come on, in you go. Grab another exploration module. Meanwhile, the city of Ard can continue to grow its borders. And you can set back out on the land route again. Oop, another sea dragon lurking. Hang on, is that a resource pod I missed? Or am I a bloody idiot? That is! I'm a bloody idiot. Oh well. There's gonna be oh, there's someone closer to us. Not that close, but close enough. Shall we go and say hi? I think we shall go and say hi. There we go, we grabbed that one. We can probably use those credits to lay claim to a bit more of our frozen wasteland around us. And after finishing genetics, we can now move on to chemistry. Now hopefully, with this being a frigid world, it should be quite old, but the age is only 3 billion years, so it's just naturally cold. It must be towards the outer edge of the system's Goldilocks zone. Oh, hello, Hello, Franco-Liberia. Now, if this planet is towards the outer edge of the habitable Goldilocks zone, that would explain why it's so cold while also being so young. But as the planet gets older and the sun gets older, the sun should expand ever so slightly, and its Goldilocks zone should eventually heat up this world to become something possibly a little bit closer to home. But that won't happen in game. That's just me sat here, silly speculating over time, blah blah blah, yada yada yada, mostly crap. But it's nice. It's relatively comfy. I've got my little hilltop city of Ard. Every so often it has to launch off missiles and scare away a few local life forms. But for the most part, this is comfy. This is a comfy game. Oop. Right, you do nothing. You see if there's a way to get to that resource pod. Yes, we got another artifact. And next turn we'll see if we can get rid of that hive. Or alien nest, alien hive. You grab that one. Another research pod. Set out into the ocean. Pillage. And we have breezeweed. So we're gathering a nice little collection of artifacts. And I'd say this was a pretty good start. So let's do one last thing. Quest decision. Full culture or two culture and two science. I'm going to go with Palatine. And you're just too far away. That's too much of an ocean with too many gribblies. So for now, this is where I'm going to end episode 1. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in episode 2. So, ta-ra for now.